my grand goal that she on the callback. She lick my Gucci if I buy the matching backpack. She probably love it if I wore the button snapback, yeah. But she don't love it all. Calling up my mom, asking what I'm doing wrong. She said, baby, I don't want you to be hurt. She only toying with your balls. I better throw a curve.
Are you excited for the Super Bowl halftime?
Dude, I'm really excited. I'm more excited for that than the actual Super Bowl.
Well, that makes sense for you. You don't really ever talk about football or sports in general.
Yeah. If I do talk about football, it's college.
This guy goes to one college football game, and now he's an expert.
I didn't say I was an expert.
Yeah, you kind of implied
Well,
you were
I like
an expert.
FSU. I like Michigan. I like the Bulls. Like, that's something I can get behind a little more. Also, I don't care about either of these teams.
Right. The Eagles and the...
If the Steelers were in it, oh, yeah, I would be freaking out.
Is that your family team? Like your
Yeah.
dad likes the Steelers? Why the Steelers? I love guys like that who have just a team, just like a random team that they
Yeah.
love to support.
Like, my dad in the, 80s and 90s was, the biggest Baltimore Orioles fan. But
Really?
just has no tie to that city at all. He's my dad's weird. He just, would pick a team and be like, this is my team now.
Yeah. I knew a guy who was a Vikings fan, and he was from Connecticut. It's like, why Minnesota?
It's so weird.
He's like, honestly, it started because I just like the colors. Okay.
I mean,
I guess there's no real reason that we would like the Bucks because we live in Tampa. You can like whoever you want.
yeah.
But you could go to a game or go to a fancy restaurant and someone's there.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, look, it's the
It's
fucking...
a part of the culture.
They're here. They have to live here.
Yeah.
I serve one of the Rays pitchers at my taco restaurant all the time.
Hey, tell me
And
that.
he remembers me from the radio station. He's like, how's it going? I'm like, Ryan Pepio, how do you think it's going?
Do you say his full name
Yeah.
when you interact?
No. He's like, is it going good? I'm like, what do you mean is it going good? When you met me, I was
Look
a
at
radio
me.
producer. And now I have an apron on and I make burritos. Not that it's,
So,
I mean,
yes,
it's fine.
it's going
The money is more than the radio, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just I don't know, man.
That's funny.
Life finds a way, you know?
Yeah, he would know.
He would know now he has to go play in Tampa because
Fucking loser.
I made a joke to him last time because the Rays stadium is destroyed. But I was like, oh, I gave you a discount. We give 10% discounts to people that work locally.
Nice.
And he was like, you didn't have to do that. And I was like, I'm making a joke. I didn't even give you the discount.
He took it
he was like, you don't have to do that. I'm like, I know, you're probably
Right.
very wealthy. I'm not don't think you need it, but.
You don't have to do that. You don't. Did he call you son? You don't have to do that, son.
No, he's maybe 3 or 4 years older than us.
Isn't that crazy? We've talked about that before.
He might be the same age as us. But I think he's
That's
at least
so
a couple years
nuts,
older.
dude.
He's maybe about 30, 31.
Oh man, that's
He's
so
tall, handsome, married, blonde wife. I'm not exposing him. He has an Instagram.
I'm
just saying he has
Are you
things-
doxing him right
No,
now?
I'm doxing him. He works at the Tropicana Field.
He works
And if you
at
wanna-
Tropicana Field. He travels for work a lot.
Yeah. You'll never guess what he does. These 3 tips. Doctors hate him.
Okay. That whole time I was just trying to get the Twitch link on my story.
Did you do it?
I did it eventually.
I almost never check the YouTube link. I'm always curious if that has any hits. And I check after, and it never got any views or comments.
Yeah.
But we got 9 views last week.
Yeah, Manny was like, there was people chatting in the chat. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we didn't notice.
Yeah. There's nine people watching,
It was,
which is the most we've ever had. It's the most people I've ever had tune into a live stream was just at
dude,
your apartment where
we're
your dog
cooking.
ate your chicken.
that was awesome.
How's
Dude,
your dog
she was
doing?
Pissed.
Did you let her out of the bathroom yet?
No, she's still in the bathroom. It's been a whole week. The bathroom smells like shit and piss.
Yeah. You can't go in there even because it's so
No.
covered in shit and piss.
Yeah, but the punishment needs to stand.
Yeah, it's just to sit in her own. They don't care.
They don't care. Well, kind of they do. I mean, when you crate a dog,
Yes.
they won't go.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
When they're older, I guess. Yeah, they won't go. But I've had puppies that just shat in the crate and then
Really?
rolled around it, and you're like, that's where you live, man.
ugh.
When they're a puppy. Well, you got her when she was a little older though.
Yeah. When she would shit and piss in the house, that's just because she had a new owner. She was confused.
She was like, "Is this the outside? Is this the outside?"
I'm like, no, it's my rug.
Oh.
But it feels like grass.
I know. I made the same mistake when I moved in.
When I bought this rug, I also thought it was
I
grass.
thought it was a poopy rug. It was not.
It was not. But now it is.
How was that Wingstop though? We're just recapping last week's episode.
Dude, that'd be funny to do an episode where we just comment, like we watch our own live stream and just comment throughout it. So right here, I was thinking that this
Yeah,
bit,
that'd be funny. We watched last week's episode on the TV and just talk about what happened.
Yeah.
No, not really.
That actually sounds
so
terrible.
We're doing commentary tracks for our own podcast.
Yeah. I think consistency is important. That's why people are tuning in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they do this every time. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Maybe some people click through. I feel like everyone who watches this show is your friends. Because I've never had a single one of my friends ever mention or ask about it.
No, Patty, he'll be in the chat sometimes.
Yeah, Patty doesn't count. Patty has a podcast.
Right.
Like, he will tune in and be like, hey, and then tune off after 5 minutes. But I'm saying, like, no one that's like a non-comic or anything is like, oh, I saw you do a nobody cares. It's been, if we did this 10 years ago, every one of my friends would be like, dude, that's crazy.
Right,
but now it's like, yeah, I know a guy that does stand. That's what I get all the time. I thought it was going to be at least a little special at first. And then, like, now I've realized, like, the New York angle was, like, special for a little bit. Because people were like, oh, he's in New York, so he's serious about it.
Right.
But, like, now it's just like, oh, yeah, you do stand-up? Yeah, we have a friend that does that. It's like, everyone's got, like, a cousin or a friend that does stand-up.
Right. And they're normally very bad at it.
Yeah, it's probably the same with music. Music's probably a little
absolutely.
bit stupider, though, because it's like, yeah, my cousin's a musician, and she sings at church and has, like, 4 ukulele covers on her YouTube channel from 2013.
And all of them, she's wearing a fedora. 100%. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Been away for a while now.
One of them's Death Cab for Cutie. One of them is a 21 Pilots cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that Accidentally in Love. Accidentally in Love. Oh, I went to high school with this girl. I don't remember her name, and we weren't friends, and she's definitely not tuning in. But she posted a cover of that.
Is this you doxing her?
No. She works at Tropicana Field. She's a pitcher. Blonde wife. I don't know why I mentioned the wife. I'm just saying he's, like, doing well for himself.
Right.
Like, he's got, like, an American dream. Like, but if his wife had any other hair color, it wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this girl posted a cover of that Bon Iver song, Skinny Love.
Right.
You know that song? It's like, oh my,
yeah.
oh my, and then she sang it like this. She said, oh my, my. Oh, she like riffed on it. Like, don't do that.
Don't change.
Oh my. Like, don't change it.
I hate
when someone does a cover and then they go like, it's about a girl and they change it to be about a guy.
Right.
Just sing the song how it was written.
Yeah.
It's weird to me.
I remember as a kid I would used to do that when I was like singing along to a song. It'd be like Taylor Swift. I'm like, she's so... I'm like, no. Because I was like afraid of being gay. I was like, if I sing the lyrics maybe I'll end up gay.
I was afraid of being gay.
I was afraid of being gay.
People thought I was gay.
Really?
I was like, I really... Like, it didn't get to me, but I was like, I think you guys are like dumb.
Spoiler alert, we all still think it, James.
Spoiler alert, everyone thinks you're gay.
Spoiler.
You're gay.
Spoiler alert for the future of your life. You're gay.
You're gay. Clocked out on gayness. No, yeah, people used to think I was gay. They'd be like, oh, is he gay? It's like, no. Like, I just remember being like, what about me is gay? And then I remember being like, do I dress well? And then Kendra was like, it's not that.
Don't worry, it's not.
It's
that
definitely
you dress
not
well.
how you dress.
Yeah, it's not that you wear the same shoes.
Yeah, I used to wear boat shoes and like coral color, like salmon colored cargo shorts.
I remember that.
So it's like, what? I wasn't dressing gay.
I have a picture of you where we were in like a library in Jacksonville. Or like the bookstore.
Yeah.
The one that's like underground.
Chamberlain's bookstore. It's like a used bookstore. All the books are like secondhand.
And I have a picture of you walking down the aisle and you had those shoes and like salmon shorts and like a button up shirt.
Yeah. That was like what I was.
Yeah.
I had like bright colored shorts.
It's kinda gay.
I don't think it's gay. I think most guys dressed like that at that time.
That's true.
Like most guys that were like in a frat.
Yeah.
I don't know what the boat shoes was. I just like didn't understand sneakers. And when I got, I think we talked last week about it. Like I got like the white Reeboks and I wore those for like 8 years. Just like 2 pairs every year and just like ran through them. Cause it's like these look good with shorts. Cause I never wanted to be like a white guy. Not that it's a race thing, but I didn't want to be like a white guy in shorts and like high top Jordans.
Right.
But I was like, what other shoes are there? But there's
Why
just
there's
so
so
many.
many-
There's a lot of shoes that you could be wearing. But I
Right.
thought sneakers were like lame. So I was like, am I supposed to? And I would have like Vans. Like I remember I would buy like.
Yep.
There's a company, I forget what it's called. They do like cheap skater shoes. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's
Is
like
it the-
$20 and you can do the mystery box one where it's like
Oh, I
$20.
don't know that.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But I used to get a couple of those because I was like, all right, maybe this is something I'll wear.
Right.
But like now I just wear sneakers like an adult.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, well, what are you supposed to do? Just not wear
I don't
shorts
know.
that often. The whole thing was the shorts.
Yes, I know what you mean. And those Reeboks, I know what you mean because when I wear shorts, I wear my white Reeboks. Because, yeah, they just, like, it all goes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wear my Air Force Ones with shorts. It just doesn't look right.
No.
Like, it just,
No. Like maybe like a Converse maybe, but like I was never like that interested or thinking about like clothes and like what to wear, especially in college because it's like I like wake up in a dorm and I roll out of bed and I go to class and I have to like walk everywhere. So it's like I'm not going to wear pants. It's like hot. It's like
Yeah.
a hot August in Jacksonville. Like I'm not going to be like strolling around in jeans. I remember I got Birkenstocks. This is
Right.
embarrassing. I wore jeans, a pink button-up shirt, and Birkenstocks with my toes out.
Oof. Yeah, that's rough.
And I only did it once, and everyone was like, "Why you got your toes out?" I was like, "I don't know what I was supposed to wear with these." they were like, "This is when you wear shorts."
Yeah, see, you're not gay then.
Yeah, because I have no sense of fashion.
Yeah. So, wait, why? So, going back, why do people think you're gay?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I really don't know what it was, because I wasn't
sorry
like
about that.
feminine. I wasn't you.
That's true.
You were wearing
People
like your little
thought
hat.
a lot of people thought I was gay.
Probably the
for
hat.
sure. No, it was after the hat era.
Okay.
That was my straight era. Then I had my gay era where I like blonde hair,
Right.
dangly earrings, pearl necklace. Like
Well,
when
you're
Michaela,
asking for it like that.
yeah, I'm asking to be bent over basically. When Michaela first met me, she like the whole night. When I first met her, she did a photo shoot with me and another friend, and the whole night she thought I was gay.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that in the laundry?
It's like the next day, I think she was texting my friend, and he was like, "He's not gay."
Right.
She's like, "Wait, what?" I just assumed he was. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the laundry mat one.
Those are some iconic photos. I remember those.
Yeah, a
Those
lot
are
of those
pretty
came
good.
out pretty good.
Yeah. When was the last time you did a photo shoot? When you did the
When I did the
three-part?
last EP, yeah.
where you
when
did black neck instead of black face, you did black neck.
No, that wasn't the last one. A lot of those photos came out pretty cool too.
Yeah.
No, the last one was.
Why did you do black neck? You were like my face is white, but my voice is black.
Oh my!
Was that what you were going
no,
for?
That's not what I was going for.
'Cause I
On
remember
the
seeing
record,
that,
that's not what I
And
was
I was
going
like,
for.
there's no way this is what it was, but I was like, that is so funny to think that that's what you were doing. And my voice, it's of the black nation.
The black.
My
nation.
brothers out there, I understand you. From from my vocal
Yeah,
cords.
I'm a
to,
suburban kid, but I understand.
yeah, suburban
No.
myth.
Suburban myth. You
You still have that tattoo?
What do you know how tattoos work?
But did you get it covered? I wasn't sure if you got it covered by something.
No.
I thought you got it covered.
What?
Yeah,
No.
suburban myth, dude.
Still right there.
It looks cool.
Yeah. No, I love this tattoo.
They did a good job.
I remember.
And those are good photos too for that. That was a good album cover.
Yeah.
You on your roof?
Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah, you named Suburban Myth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were like, you should just name it Suburban Myth. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I was like I had thought of that for a different thing, like, and I was like I thought of a name but had no project attached to it. But then when I kind of got the vibe, I was like, oh well, this is like the vibe of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, here you go.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's funny, the two like projects that I've done, Projection and Suburban Myth, have both been named by other people. Michaela named Projection. Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I was like, well, because I was talking it out to her of like the concepts behind it and everything, and I wanted to name it Logos.
Right. I remember that actually.
Yeah, and then she was like,
Would it
she's like,
have been Logos, Pathos, Ethos for
Yes.
the 3 parts? Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, no, you should just name it Projection.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty good.
See You Never. Those are the 3 names, right?
See You Never,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's cool. She made a design that I have like my merch shirt of it, where it's like a little projector, and then outward it like like
Yeah,
goes
I
like
know
that, and
that
says like
shirt.
"See You Never" as the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was a cool era, man. But
I
anyway,
also
yeah,
thought that
I was
music
gay.
video did was really cool in the storage unit place, and I
was
thought
good.
that name was really good. What was it? It was like sometimes I want to kill myself all the time. Something in that vein, right? You don't even know.
Everything makes me wait. Yeah,
Everything makes me mad.
always.
Sometimes
no,
everything.
sometimes-
It's like sema.
Sometimes Sema, yeah. Sometimes everything makes me mad. Always.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
cool. That was like maybe the best thing. I mean, I think a lot of the songs like Spot and like the newer songs that you put out over the past like 4 years were good.
Yeah.
But that music video was very cool and that song was good.
Yeah, like that as its own entity was like a cool accomplishment.
Yeah.
That was actually the first time I felt like legit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, okay, I took myself a little more serious after. Not that I didn't take myself serious, like, oh, I was just doing goofy music, but I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, this is kind of respectable.
Is that when you went back and not back, but like you lived with your parents and didn't work and just worked on music? Was that time period?
That was close to that. Yeah, because I quit Ferguson shortly after that. Because yeah, that was during COVID.
Because you shot that kid.
Because I what?
Ferguson, Missouri. You had to quit
Yeah.
and you shot Mike Brown.
Yeah,
Going
that
for
was
your
me.
gun. And now you used to be a cop.
Are you doxing me right now?
Yeah, you work at the Trummington field. Blonde ass wife. Beautiful blonde wife.
We're gonna put a border around his blonde wife.
We're going to put a border, protect his blonde wife.
protect his blonde wife.
From himself. He's too horny.
He's doing it. She
first.
can't handle it.
Do you like blondes? I don't have a blonde thing. Like, I feel like men have, like, an Asian thing or a blonde thing. I had a buddy who had a redhead thing, and he'd be like, she's so hot. And I was like, she's actually not hot at all. She just has red hair, and that's, like, your thing.
That's interesting. No.
Yeah. I have
don't.
no real interest. It's very rare when I find a blonde woman attractive.
Yeah, because I think a lot of blonde women are like too, like college-y looking. Like the extensions, the overdone makeup. Like I'm sorry, everyone, but I think blonde sometimes like is also that. It becomes that.
Yeah.
And that I don't really like. I don't like the Barbie girl look.
Yeah.
The college.
Yeah, that's a good point because
Frat.
sometimes when she's not that kind of blonde woman, when she's like a alternative looking woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like alternative like but like alternative like the genre of music. Like she has like
Right.
dark jeans on and like a band t-shirt. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's this thing about like the older generations where I've noticed it. My girlfriend's pointed it out to me before that like her mom's blonde and like she knows some blonde people and there's just men who just like fall over themselves when they're talking to a blonde woman. Like they just it's like crack. It's like they just can't help themselves.
It is like the American stereotype woman. It's
Maybe
like
it was
the
just more on TV. Like, I feel like that happened with butts over boobs. Like it was like a media push towards the butt.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just more interested in butts than boobs. I mean, you like boobs, whatever, but it's like culturally, it's like the butt is in.
Oh,
the
yeah.
boob is out.
Yeah, the butt was like nothing back in the day.
No,
It
they
was
didn't
all,
want
like,
the butt. The
Yeah,
fat
all the
butt was
pink
like
girls were like the boobs and everything.
Yep. Pamela Anderson.
Yep.
We were watching Baywatch. There's like a channel on like Roku TV that just plays old Baywatch videos, like old episodes. And it's funny because like no one has ass at all. It's just everyone
That's
has
so
boobs out.
strange.
And that's what they wanted. Like in the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s, it was like
Marilyn Monroe. I mean, tons of cleavage.
low-rise
always.
jeans that you could only wear if you had no ass.
It's true.
And guys like in movies and stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, look at her ass," and it's like there's nothing there.
If they only knew in the future.
Dude, yeah, like I've noticed that. Like it's in an old movie, they're like, "Oh, she's got the perfect ass," and
It's
just,
like
it's a
flat.
guy's ass.
Yeah.
Might as well be a man walking away from the camera right now,
That's so funny.
which is fine. I mean, like what you like, whatever. But like,
yeah, ass is definitely in right now.
might have
Chat,
been
what's in?
Anaconda.
Ass or boobs?
It might have been Anaconda. I think
That
was
was
the
the
big
switch.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if anyone's in the chat.
The elites, the Jewish elites, they did a push for butts.
Yeah, we like the butt, so you're gonna have the butt in now, because it's where the poop comes out.
They're like, how was that? That's the plan?
Yeah,
Just because the poop comes out?
that's where the poop comes out.
I didn't know that.
Really? Where does your poop
This
come
is
out?
first, not my butt.
Chat, where does your poop come out?
You look at me, I blink this way.
You poop out of your mouth. don't
Caleb's
you?
an alien.
So what do you... What changed from the music stuff? Like, what was the last track you put out?
It was Projection Never. those 3 tracks.
And there was a decently long break between the second part and the third part, right?
Yeah.
Was
It's
it a year?
because no, it wasn't a full year. I think it was like 9 months. And it was because there was one song that I really wanted to put on it. That it was funny. I had that song like in the beginning of Projection, and I like really wanted it to be like the last song of the whole thing, and I just couldn't get it right. I just like struggled over it. I think it's one of the like best lyrically written songs I've ever made. And it's not rapping. It's just like a piano in my voice. But I was just like so insecure about my voice back then, and I think I've gotten a lot better at singing and like understanding how to use my vocal like cords and stuff, and like breath control. But back then, it just wasn't what it could be, and I did not have confidence to put out a song where I only sang.
Right.
So I was struggling with that a lot. I re-recorded it. I would change it. I changed the chords. I would do this, do that. And I was like, I just got to drop it. And then Queen, which is the last song on the whole project, I made that in like 2020. It was like old. Like I made Queen before Projection was even thought of.
Right.
And I remember I sent it to this girl that I was talking to a while ago, like a long, long time ago. And she was like, this is really, really good. I was like, I don't know. And then when Projection came around, I re-recorded it, and then that's what got put out.
Right.
But yeah.
And when was that? When did that come out? The Never part.
That was
22.
That was 2023. Like near, I think like October
Yeah.
of 2023.
So you released like the first 2 parts in the beginning of 2023.
Oh, I'm thinking we're in 2024.
This was 2022.
No, Projection never came out 2024.
Really?
Yeah.
October 2024?
No, it was in the beginning.
Right.
It was in the beginning of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it definitely sucks not being at my house. The BOYtime lore, I'm sure people know. But yeah,
Because that's where
2024.
that's like your little studio in there. So it's
Yeah.
easier.
So not having the materials definitely sucks. It puts a hindrance on what I can do.
Actually, your last song was the Christmas song that came out.
That's true. That's true.
We put it out under BOYtime,
Which-
right? We
yeah.
didn't put it out under Prince.
It's so funny too. I was out with me and my girlfriend went to the beach with some friends yesterday and like played beach volleyball. It was fun. And our friend Kelly, she has like a new man's in her life or whatever, and we're like all like eating fish together, and I go to the bathroom and I hear her say, someone said like, oh, he makes music, and as I was leaving to go to the bathroom, I hear Kelly whisper to her guy. She goes, oh, I'll play you his Christmas song when we get in the car. I'm like, there it is.
That's what she played?
I guess so. It's funny that she's like, oh, he makes music. Let me show you his
A
Christmas
song where
song.
I'm predominantly featured in the first part of it.
Exactly. I'm talking about like fucking Santa and reindeers doing coke. That's
really
the introduction to Prince Joseph.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Do you see yourself as Prince Joseph on that track, or is that a Caleb
That's
track?
a Caleb track.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, for sure.
Dude, we're the new Tiny Meat Gang.
Dude, we are.
We have one song, but
We're the new, Lonely
people
Island.
are talking, you know, at Fish Restaurant.
Yeah, that whole fish restaurant was lighting up about BOYtime.
It'd be pretty funny
Christmas.
if is any of your music on Touch Tunes?
So I looked into that. It technically is, but
That'd be funny.
but all of Touch Tunes, each location, they can choose what they put on it. That's why you go to some Touch Tunes and there's like a song that's just not available. It's like, why is this not available? And then some that are. So I googled that. I was like, DistroKid. That's how I like get my music out. I was like, can you put your music on Touch Tunes? It's like, yeah, we send it to Touch Tunes, but it's just up to the people to like put it on there.
So you got to find like a business that's very liberal with their Touch Tunes.
Yeah, it was. Me and my girlfriend went to a bar before we went to go see a movie a few weekends ago, and the Touch Tunes had like Bad Omens, Under Oath, all like heavy bands, but all of the heavy songs were not available, which is just like
So just like
interesting.
light songs from that band.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Touch Tunes must have like people on staff that just filter out stuff.
I think so. There's probably like settings or something. We're like, oh, nothing like in this vein of genre or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny to play your own music at a bar. I'm thinking specifically the Christmas song would have been funny to go into a bar and just start playing our Christmas song. And everyone's like, turn this off.
It's July. Christmas for boys. Christmas. Your part.
And I'm like, whoa, this music rocks. Like, we get all of our friends to individually tell the bartender, like, you should let this song play all the time.
All the time.
She's like, it sounds like a Christmas song. No. They keep talking about Santa and having sex with him.
I'm not going to put this in rotation.
Santa has sex in July. There's nothing that refers to December in the Christmas song.
That's technically true. We made it for all year round use.
So you listen to it. It's made for all year round. There's a brief music video on my YouTube channel featuring Caleb's friend dressed up as drunk Santa. He humps a tree, pukes in toilet.
It's true. Real puke. Yeah, Christmas for Boys on all streaming platforms.
So you don't think you'll release any more music till you get back to your house?
No, I will.
You have stuff?
I'm going to release a single soon.
Okay.
Yeah. One that I think the one I sent to you, not the one that I showed you physically.
Right.
I think I want to release that as a single. And then maybe it'll be like on a future project because I got to get something out.
Right.
Like it's coming up on a year of not releasing anything.
Yeah, and you have little fans now at your church.
It's true.
They're all like, want the merch. Didn't someone ask for Prince Joseph verse for Christmas?
Literally, a kid asked today, he said, are you coming to youth tonight? I'm like, no. Why would I come to that? And he's like, no, you should come. He's like, but if you don't bring merch, the girls are going to be mad. I'm like,
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I'm not invested in the girls.
They follow me on Instagram and I blocked them. Like,
you got to get that number up, man.
I know. Well, I didn't block them, but I hid them from my story. So I was like, you're not going to see me do adult things.
You don't do any adult things on your story. I guess they would find BOYtime and really get to know you.
Yeah, I don't
think
want
any of
them
those kids
watching
have found BOYtime?
No.
Because you post clips.
Ooh, that's true.
But they probably don't find it.
Yeah, they probably just don't really care that much. I think I'm like a funny thing in their head that they talk about. Like, oh, that cute boy that makes music. They don't listen to my music. There's no way there's like, he's talking about his mom and the struggles with his dad's relationship. It's like, they don't care.
Right.
But
they just think it's funny, cool that you're a musician.
Yeah. That's, oh, he has tattoos. He's our youth pastor's younger cute brother or whatever. Like,
you keep saying that they think you're cute. You said it twice.
Oh, well, I got to tell you this story.
That's part of it?
That's part of it.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know this was a trend because I'm not Gen Alpha or whatever, but it's something called No Way or something. And like you bake a cake and then you put like the meme of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's like Hear Me Out.
Hear Me Out. That's what it is. And so
you bake a cake. I don't understand what the cake has to do with it, but
right.
Everyone brings their Hear Me Out printed out on a stick, and then they put it on there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so they did that, and like the girls like brought a cake, and then two of them independently brought pictures of me. So
that's an insult. Hear me out. This guy's attractive. Don't judge me. I think Prince Joseph is cute. That's
you're like, ew, what? No.
Because like people post like cartoon characters, like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory, and then you. Hear me out. Hear me out.
That's true. Like
That's
Mr.
what it
Krabs, is. Prince Joseph,
Adolf Hitler.
Hear me out. The mustache was a little whack.
Look, okay, I edited off the mustache.
Hear me out.
I gave him a Gen Z haircut.
Dude, he slays.
No, he doesn't slay.
He doesn't.
He's like one of the ugliest men to ever have existed.
No, it's true.
I think it probably led to a lot of his stuff. Being ugly.
Yeah.
To be like bad, you have to be ugly. If you're bad and handsome, you're handsome in like a weird way, like a snake.
Right.
Like you look like a lizard.
Yeah.
I never really understand what women find attractive.
In history that are like really attractive?
Stalin was handsome when he was young.
True. He wasn't bad though.
I don't know. I guess.
Objectively so bad.
Yeah, like he killed more people than the Holocaust, and it wasn't like racial. Yeah, that's true. I never really know what women find attractive. Like when I see like a man, I'm like, is that what an attractive man is? And like I've had women be like, no. But like for
Right.
me, it's like, oh, he's like a tall, angular face, good hair.
Yeah,
Like women find like the strangest people attractive.
for sure.
Look at my girlfriend.
Oh, that's funny. No, I think you're an attractive guy. I really do.
Mm-hmm. I have that attractive energy.
I don't know. I think girls, it's just like a vibe based thing.
I know.
Cause like it's the meme of like, oh, my little sister's heartbroken and this is the boy she's mad about, and it's like a turtle with like a weird
Right,
haircut.
I know that trend.
It's like, yeah, it is strange.
Yeah, that is funny. I've had women be attracted to me, and you can tell. And I'm like very like it's not disrespectful. I'm just like I disregard them. Like I don't really, because I have a girlfriend, but like I've noticed that like that just makes them like you more.
Oh yeah, like the ex Tina. We were like, get out of here, and she's like, I'll suck both your dicks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She didn't say that. If you're watching, Alyssa,
No,
she didn't say
didn't.
that.
But you know what
The
she
same
did do
thing.
that like girls do when they're like being bad is she's like, I'm gonna go tell your girlfriend that you guys are great. Like they always want to find the girlfriend. Like girls are mean. I've been noticing this. Like my girlfriend explained it to me that like when girls are mean in a movie, they're like Nazis. In a movie, they're like, oh, like they're like going out of their way to be like horrible. But she's like, in real life, a girl will be like, I love that skirt, and it's like objectively an incredibly ugly skirt.
Right.
And they're talking to like an ugly person, like a person that's like frumpy. It's like, I love your skirt.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of giving them attention, but it's actually like ill-intentioned.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like exposing them almost.
Yes, like calling attention to something and being like, I like that for everyone to kind of know. They're like
Yeah.
speaking code when they're actually evil.
That's true.
And like women, like there was girls.
Are we
in high school.
incels?
No, we have girlfriends. The whole thing is you have to be celibate.
True.
And I know you're not. So I hear you guys from over here.
God,
You
you
gotta
smell
close
me
your
from a
window.
mile away, and you can hear us from 2 miles away.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
potent, bro.
That's crazy.
You're culturally relevant.
That's That's a compliment, really.
Yeah, like women in high school were not mean like that. Like they would like start rumors that you like couldn't dispute. Like that's like the evil girl thing to do in high
Right.
school is be like, yeah, I heard she fucked this guy and blew him, and she's
Yeah.
really ashamed about it, so she'll deny it if you ask. So you just have no way out of it
Yeah.
because you're like, ew, no, and it's like, no, she did the thing that girl said she was gonna do.
Yeah.
She denied.
So
3
we're
times.
right.
Yeah.
We knew this would happen.
Like they invented something and then doubled down on it, and now
Yeah.
that's just how it works. It's pretty
Yeah.
funny. Guys just beat each other up.
Right. Like, I'm gonna punch you in the balls.
Yeah. Were there any? There were fights in your high school, right? You told me
Yeah.
you were in some.
Yeah, there's some fights, yeah.
Yeah, there
Nothing
was
like
fights.
too crazy.
There wasn't really that many in my high school, but there were some, and it would always be like not the people I wanted to see fight.
Right.
Like I remember being like, oh, these guys like kind of hate each other. It'd be funny if they fought, and then it's just like 2 kids I've never seen before, and everyone's gathering around. It's like, guys, none of you know these guys. These are like
Yeah.
freshmen that nobody knows.
They're arguing about like magic cards.
Right.
He thought he took his magic card.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always something like that.
Yeah.
It's always like, what are we fighting?
It's not like you kissed my girlfriend. It's like it's not the 2 like most popular guys.
Never.
Yeah.
But in the movies, it always is.
Yes.
It's always like
It's
the
very
2 hottest guy
disappointing.
in school, and then now it's just like 2 nerds are beefing about a headphone jack.
Yeah, exactly. You jacked my headphone jack. No, I didn't, bro.
Jack, you jacked my headphone jack.
Jack. He says his name again. There's 2 commas in that sentence.
Find where they are.
Find where they are.
Jack, you.
We could teach a school. We could be
A whole
right.
school?
We could no. I mean, like we could make the curriculum for them.
We should pretend that we're like an anti-drug campaign, and we go around to high schools teaching kids about drugs.
Yeah.
And then we just show up and we just do not talk about drugs at all. We just do BOYtime live at a high school, and like the
Dude.
principal's there, and everyone's like, "What are they talking about?"
Yeah, we should make a website.
We're just
like
in big
a bunch of
chairs.
campaigns, like, and it's like really good anti-drug stuff. Yeah, and like maybe go to one school and do anti-drug, and then from then on, we have the credibility, and we just do BOYtime.
We just do BOYtime live at high schools, and like
Yeah.
all the teachers in the entire school is there. We're just doing BOYtime
Yeah,
live.
and like even some parents, they're like, "Oh, anti-drug, this would be so good for my little Jimmy who's shooting up heroin in
Yeah.
the house." And then yeah, it's just us doing this.
yeah, and we just talk about, just whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so my girlfriend, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
When does it get to the drug part? And then
At
the principal comes out at the end. She's like, this is what happens when you do drugs. Even one time.
Even one time, close curtain.
Whoa.
He used to be a radio producer. Now he's making talk hosts.
What the heck?
He makes music and no one listens. It's like, oh man.
Wow.
And now they have a podcast. This could happen to you.
Has this ever happened to you? It's an ad for girlfriends when their boyfriends start a podcast.
That's good.
Has this ever happened to you?
What's the result though? Like, are they entitled to compensation?
No, we just advertise ourselves to be guests on the podcast, but when we go on, we slowly convince them that they're not interesting or funny people to be doing a podcast.
That's good.
I mean, I don't know if we are interesting or funny people to be doing a podcast, but this is a live stream, so it's different.
Yeah, it's not a podcast.
It really isn't, but it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Podcasts are about nothing. I remember I used to
Or
listen
they're about a
one
very
thing.
specific thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like they used to be about, like when I would find podcasts as a kid, like being in high school and I would listen to a podcast, they were all just about one thing.
Yeah.
And then this slowly creep in of like, I wonder if it was like Joe Rogan a little bit, because he would just do like 2.5, 3 hour podcasts talking to comedians. And it's like, he's not really interviewing them.
Right.
Like I would listen to podcasts. Like there was this one Chris Hardwick hosted called the Nerdist Podcast, and he would like interview a different person every week. It was just like Mark Maron does with like What the Fuck, and it was always an interview. But if he knew the person, or it was like a comedian or like a funny actor or like someone that he had like some sort of rapport with, it would just become like this. Right. But it would be like, oh, that was a great podcast because they got to a place where it was just funny the whole time, and it wasn't all about like their life.
Right.
But like it's not like that anymore. Just it's like the guests all got together and decided they didn't need the hosts anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of podcasts worse.
Man, that's a really good perspective, that all the guests just have their own podcast now.
Yeah, there's no host.
Yeah.
There's no charismatic like guy asking questions. There's no one keeping it moving. Like what I saw on radio was like radio is just two hosts, and then they'll sometimes have a guest come in for like a 15-minute interview.
Yeah. But
like podcasts is like, now everyone has the ability to go out and record and make content of themselves. But now also it's video, so it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But like you're a musician, I'm a comedian. It makes more sense. But I know people who aren't either of those things.
Right.
And they have podcasts like, what do you want? Like, what do you... Like, there's these guys I used to know who have a film podcast. And like, you know, they've made like a couple short films, but they just like talk about movies. They don't talk about like filmmaking. They just talk about like movies that come out.
Right.
And it's like, I get you guys have an interest in it, and I think it's cool that you make, maybe this isn't a good example, but I just think it's like, it's just funny when people are like making content that's pretty aimless. Yeah. Like we don't really need two guys we don't know on the internet talking about movies specifically.
We need more guys on the internet talking about absolutely nothing, which is what we do.
Yeah. But this is like a clip farm essentially.
Yeah.
It's just to get something to post on social media, and eventually it gets to a point where it's like, oh, okay, so there's like 11 clips in every podcast we could post.
Yeah. As
opposed to, I mean, I've just listened to, like, I mean, I was a comic in New York. Every guy had a podcast, and they're comedians. So I'm like, okay, like, I get why a comedian has a podcast. Like, Bill Burr started a podcast when he was touring, and he would do it every Monday. And so he would be, like, getting ready to go on his flight and recording a podcast that was just him. He does it alone. And the Monday morning
like
podcast.
That.
And it was interesting because it was like, and like even like my friend Mike, when he first went, he started a couple different podcasts in his life. And when he was in high school, he did a podcast where he interviewed all of his friends.
That's good.
And that was an interesting idea. I thought that was kind of cool because it was like everyone was a senior and it was like 4 months up till graduation.
Right.
So every week he put out a podcast and it was like, well, you got a built-in audience. Everyone who's on the podcast or in your class might listen to it because it's like, the guy who nobody talks to is on the podcast. You know what I mean? Or like that guy that is in my psych class is on a podcast. Right. Like it's an interesting idea. And I'm like, that could be something
is cool.
I've thought about things like that. Like it'd be interesting to just interview people that I know. Like my uncle, my mom, and like other friends that aren't attuned to doing a podcast. Like, and that is something that is interesting because it's like, oh, this guy, there's a guy who does a podcast called like an uncomfortable or necessary conversation. And it's him and his sister talk to his dad about politics, and they're like liberals in LA, and their dad is like a Midwestern conservative who just watches Fox News. So it's like two people who are like
And the whole thing is political?
It's like cultural issues and political issues, but it's mostly about like this, like, you know, the Trump thing since 2016, and like out of COVID, I think it started. But and like Mike started another podcast where it was when he first moved to New York. He did a podcast like during his first year becoming a stand-up comedian, going to college in New York, and it was just him alone for like 99% of the. He had like a guest for maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, but it was like. At least it was interesting because it was like he was just going like, oh, I went to this mic, and it was like pretty much a podcast just for me, and I called him on the phone, so I didn't need to like call, I didn't need to listen to the podcast, but it was like, oh, at least it has a direction. But now it's like people just, I mean, I at least not intentionally, but the intention of like BOYtime to a certain extent is to if we have like a weird idea, we can do it on BOYtime, or if we have like a conversation that's particularly funny, it's easy to clip, and also like. I'm like a radio person, and I've pretty much had like some sort of radio live or podcast thing since like 2021.
Right.
So it just I was like, well, I need to do something on my own because I can't rely on the radio. And I got like a lot of good clips when I worked at the radio station, like doing like segments and stuff. And like that was good because it was like I had to write stuff and like read it on air and like get stuff prepared. But it's like, you know, you get like, it's called, I forget what they call it, like work the mic a little bit, or like mic comfortability, and like, you know, you just learn how to like talk and keep going and not stop. And the real trick with like radio is actually like not cursing when you're just talking plainly, because I've noticed that like when I worked in New York for radio, a lot of those guys are older and they come from a different era when you kind of have like either a name, like your name is like the Squiz or something, and you're talking like a voice.
Sure.
But now it's just your voice. Like even when I came down here and the guys who did the radio station, that's just how they talk. Like that's who they are off.
Who's that NFL guy that just died? Like famous commentator.
I don't know.
Anyway, he like just recently passed, and he was like the voice of the NFL. Like everyone knew him. He like did that voice.
Right. I know who you're talking about now. I saw that. I don't remember his name, but yeah. And it's like they had like a voice, and now it's like when you lose structure. And then you lose performance, and then you lose intention.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
And then what's left?
Yeah. And like, I only bring up like the Mike podcast to say like, yeah, it didn't have like structure, and he was like still learning how to do this stuff, but it had intention. And like when you do like like if I've listened to comics podcasts where it's like, you know, there's a podcast called Two Nosy Meerkats. And the one guy is like very popular on TikTok. I don't want to say famous on TikTok because like I don't really know what that means, but like he is like has a big TikTok page. But like the whole thing is it's like they're nosy, so they're asking like comedians very personal questions, like the worst thing they did. And it's like, oh, there's a structure. Yeah, there's an intention because this guy has an audience, so like it makes sense. And obviously they want to practice.
What do you think our intention is?
Clips. A little bit. I mean, it's also just to have an outlet. I mean, I asked you to do this with me because I was going to do it anyway, but I was like, it's really hard to do alone. And like Patty had not decided to. I'm not like discounting that I enjoyed doing this with you, but like you can leave. I'll just do it alone. But like Patty had not even thought about moving down here yet. And so it's like, well,
you need like that outlet, like for your radio voice, not like technically your voice, but like, So I know what you mean.
Conversational stuff is funny if you know how to do it. And I feel like I had a podcast in high school. I ran my radio station in college and did a morning show and a lot of different podcasts and little TV shows in college.
You like need this.
I need you. But like it's just part of like if I didn't have it, I would just be like what, like tweeting all the time? Like nobody cares about that. That's not worthwhile.
So do you think that you like that's interesting.
Like, and then when I got to New York, I did the Radio Free Brooklyn thing, which was like in a studio every week. I would sit down, I would have guests come in. But for me, it's like, well, you have to do segments. You have to plan stuff. So I would make like fake AI voicemails that I would like, oh, we had calls this week. And I would take an AI voice generator and it would like make it say weird stuff and we react to it. I would play like clips. I would have a soundboard. I would take phone calls. I would make it like a real radio show trying to like get people to call in. And I would get people to call in, but there'd be like 1 or 2 calls every episode. So you keep them on for like 15 minutes because I'm doing a 2-hour show. So it eats some of the time up if you're just talking to someone. People called in as characters and like, but like this is different because that we do segments. We've done like the ads. We've done like pretty like relatively structured stuff. We did the
Oh, and yeah,
political one.
even if the segment is just, I mean, you know, last week was just like, oh,
Caleb's
I'm
in charge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, like
Right.
ridiculous, stupid questions. Like usually we have like a little thing we do.
Yeah, and I feel like when we don't, it's like almost like every other week. Like last
Yeah.
week it was Caleb was in charge. This week we just didn't even talk about it. We just sat down.
Yeah,
Like next week
We'll
could
have
something. Yeah,
yeah.
something.
We throw in a relaxing episode every once in a while.
Yeah.
We're just
Well, we
kinda
did like the
chilling.
job thing. I showed you the videos.
Yeah.
Like that was weird. I don't even know if that really worked in the way I thought it would, but it was like a funny, weird idea. Like,
Yes.
Just trying something that could be like an interesting thing. Because if that, I mean, we could do that again because you said you have videos that you'd want to show me.
Yeah.
So it's like it'd be funny to do something like that because it's like reacting to stuff
Yeah.
is like a thing.
I think. Well, I have a couple thoughts. My first thought is: do you think you need something like this to feel like validated in your own mind in a certain way? Because you're like, okay, I had the thing in high school, college, New York, and then you came here and you're like, what am I gonna do? Like, do you feel like you need something like this, like as Alex? You're like, oh, if I don't have this, what am I gonna tweet all day? Like, what is it in your mind that you need something to like? I'm putting something out in the world. What do you think that is?
I think that when I was younger, it was like I needed to be doing something, like I needed to be practicing and working on something. And now I think it's not about needing to do it. It's that I know that I do it better than other people doing it. And I know that's arrogant, but I just know. I've been on a lot of podcasts and they've been bad. And not because of me. I've been the best part of other people's podcasts. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's like if this is a skill that could be turned into something, if this is
So
something.
you view it more of as like an obligation. Like, I know I'm good at this, so I have to do it.
Yeah, and I've gone time without doing a podcast. Like, when I first got to New York, I didn't do a podcast, but I've had like creative outlet stuff. But as far as like this specific thing of like a long form talking audio, now video, but like audio based thing, it was like, I went into radio and wanted to get good at it. And now I feel like I'm relatively good at it. And like I worked in radio in New York and I worked at radio down here and I was like incredibly validated. So I feel like I'm already validated. It's not like an anxiety thing where I'm trying to like, oh, I need to do this because I need like a way to get this out. It's like, no, I'm like good at this. It's like if I was really good at like pickup basketball or pickleball, like I would want to go out there and do it because it's fun to be good at something versus for me at least, it's fun when I'm good at something. If I'm not good at something, it loses its interest.
That's really interesting. And I feel like I'm the direct opposite with music. I feel like I'm always trying to convince myself that I am good at it. And that's why I keep going.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let me sit down. Like, let me like do this because it's like, I don't think I'm that good. So let me get better.
I also do something that has a lot of
opposite.
external validation. I've been very validated in comedy.
Right.
I get validated every time I do a show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get validated right
it's
away.
an immediate response.
You
we've
will
talked
not
about that
know.
before.
Yeah.
It's like music. Unless you're doing a lot of live shows, and I get very validated when I have done live shows. But yeah, music is definitely different. I think it's much more internal. Because I was even thinking about this a couple days ago. I was just driving, and I was listening to my song Queen, and I was like, who's listening to this? Who's like, Queen is like very personal, very deep, very like not deep in a way like, oh, no one will understand it. It's like it's all written out there, but it's just like very personal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like my internal anxieties that I have like with my family and how like I view myself like in like the music like zeitgeist and like what that means for me and stuff. And it's like who's like, what is this? Like,
Right.
why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, I had this moment where I'm like, why did I even put this out?
Right.
Like, not that I regret it or like, oh, that's stupid. Nothing like that in my mind. But just like, yeah, why am like, what's in me that's motivating me to like put my heart on a sleeve in such a like weird way?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You put a lot of time and effort in to be able to do it. I mean, you whipped up the Christmas song in an afternoon.
Yeah.
And you made like a beat that was very good in just like a quick moment. So it's like, it's almost like not to bring it back to me again, but it's like learning how to run a radio show behind a board and doing like an actual thing that has like ads you have to cue and play stuff and learn how the tech works. And then if you don't do that, it's like, well, I learned all that stuff. So
Right.
it's like, you know, I mean, that gets into a bigger conversation about like what motivates you to be creative in general, but it's like, you know, that's
That's a good
it's a
point.
fundamental thing to who you are. You obviously want to make stuff because you're someone who feels like you want to make stuff. Now, I feel differently now about like fame and success. Like my idea of fame and success is completely different than it was when I was 21 years old, moving to New York, 22. And it's just different because it's like you go in, you see what it's like, you put yourself out there and you go through the grinder. And then you're like, not the app, but like the grinder of life.
Nah, you meant the app.
Oh, Freudian slip again. I was gay. Those kids were right.
The whole time, the salmon shorts.
I'm going to show up to my high school reunion and be like, you guys were right.
You guys,
It was the shorts, wasn't it?
You have glitter on.
Kendra's crying.
It was the shorts, wasn't it? You come out in front of everyone, including her, at your high school.
I just want to get you guys. I put a video on my, because it came up a lot. I put a video out when I was a freshman. Like when I went to college, I made like little like vlog testimonial things where I would set up the camera and talk to the camera and make like a 5-minute video.
If you're watching this, I'm already dead. Like those are videos?
No, not that. Not like Interstellar when he's getting all the videos of his kids getting older and older and older. It was like ideas. Like I did like a list of things and like I did one that I was just like, it was kind of like a vlog, but I tried to make it like funny. Like I tried to make it like, anyway, I did one that was just called Coming Out. And I came out as ugly.
Okay, that's funny.
But I titled it Coming Out because people thought I was gay, even though I
Nice.
had a girlfriend, which is like, I guess that doesn't really mean anything because gay guys have girlfriends too. But
Gay guys have girlfriends too.
this guy who I went to high school with who was gay, he like texted me and he was like, I just saw this. Is it true? And I remember he sent me like the monkey emoji with his hands over his mouth.
Way.
And I was like, did you watch it? And he was like, but is it true? And I was like, watch it. I literally say I wanted to just let everyone know. Like I do like an emotional intro,
Right.
and then like 30 seconds and I go, I'm ugly.
Right.
Like I wanted to do something because everyone was releasing coming out videos on YouTube. Every YouTuber was coming out as gay. I was like, it'd be funny to come out, but it's not gay. And
Yeah,
then, like
yeah.
you know. And then this guy was like, wow, he's gay. And I was like, watch the video. Like I
Right.
realized that nobody, like everyone's just reading headlines and not reading the article.
Exactly, yeah.
Like nobody's
It's
watching
same
the
thing.
video.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It is a thing of like I said this the other day. I was at a comedy show over at Sunshine City Comedy Club, and it was like they were like asking about like kind of the conversation we're having now. Like they were, because like every time I meet a new comic, it's like I have like I have a note card where I like it's like Joker handing over like his disability card to someone.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I laugh a lot. Don't worry, I'm not gonna kill 3 guys on the subway. That's weird. But I have to like there's like things I've learned since moving here that I say and I don't say. Like I don't want to. I was very conscious of not being like I just moved here from New York. I've done a lot of shows and I've gone up at the clubs that you dream of. I don't like I obviously would never do that. But
Yeah.
And I also didn't go up at the clubs people dream of. But like,
Right.
but it was like when you drop the I moved here from New York after doing stand-up there for
Yes.
5 years, it gets a different tone to it.
For sure.
To where some guys will take you more seriously and some guys take it as like,
Oh,
threat.
this guy thinks he's all
right.
that.
And it's like,
right.
okay, well, I don't go into that because it's like, it's all about what you do on the stage. Just like
Sure.
with you can talk about being a musician, and then if people go to your music and you're playing ukulele covers of Death Cab for Cutie, it's like,
Right.
well, no one gives a fuck about this guy.
Yeah.
This guy was standing outside the show and he was just talking about like his jokes and like I love like, you know, I love going at the end, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes up and he sucks. And it's like, dude, like don't talk. You talk too much about like. Some of these guys just want to have something to talk about. Like, they want to talk shop about something. And it's like, you should have gotten into, like, sales or, like, got into cars or something, man.
Yeah.
Because,
or
like,
just like the Bucks a lot.
right.
Do that.
Yes.
Who are they trading next season? Blah, blah.
Exactly.
Get into that.
Exactly. And
Their
I love
stats.
comics who have other interests that you can
Yeah.
talk about. Patty loves golf, and he does work that has nothing to do with comedy and entertainment. And, like, he has all these other interests and things that he could talk about differently.
Yes.
He was in a band for, like, 5 to 7 years when he was in high school into college.
Yeah.
And, like, he has this whole other stuff. And it's like, this guy's so much more interesting than a guy who, like, these comics, they just want to talk to you. Like,
They use it as like an identity marker to make themselves feel like important. And that's boring. Anyone that does that with anything is boring.
Yes, it's like nobody wants to. I don't love talking about comedy, about stand-up, because you know what it
Right.
is? You're just sitting around drinking too much or smoking, and you're just like talking about what? Like, and no offense, it's like when I was in New York, at least I could take these guys seriously because some of them are performing at real clubs.
Right.
And like we are at a real club down here, so I validate that, but it's like these guys are like a heartbeat away from a real career. So if they want to talk to me about something, that's fine. But it's like, you guys, like, I met a guy who was like, yeah, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. I feel like it's time. It's like, I guess, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, you're 45 years old and you're into comedy. Like, you've been sitting on the idea of a podcast for 15 years.
Things are really going to change when you start that podcast.
Yeah, it's
buddy.
like, you don't know how to edit.
And I think I like that BOYtime.
BOYtime's for us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the intention, I was thinking about, like, what's the intention? We've talked about this before. I think it does go down to, except for episodes like this, it boils down to just making each other laugh.
Yes.
It's like, let's just have a fun time. And if people want to experience that with us, that's great.
Yes.
And that's fun. Yeah, there'll be episodes like this where we go a little deeper and like we talk, you know, a little more serious. But yeah, it's like, let's do funny Muppet jokes and I'm going to ask James ridiculous ass questions. But I'm not going to like,
or we'll list every job.
Yeah, we have a podcast. Like my boss at work was like, I said something. I was like, oh, because you're on my screensaver on my computer. And he's like, who's that? I was like, oh, that's my friend James. He's like, oh, how do you know? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, blah, blah. And oh, we do a podcast together. He's like, a podcast? He's like, I'll listen. I just said, don't. Just don't. Like, that's not, I don't want that. I mean, I believe in this. I think it's fun and I think it's great. But I'm not going to use that as like yeah, I have a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend have a podcast. It's like, yeah so does that guy over there.
Right.
Like, it's like, yeah, when people use that as like, I don't know, Chris's sermon tapped into this a little bit today because he was like talking about like identity markers and how like Christians that use Christianity as an identity marker are normally bad Christians.
Yeah.
Like when your thing becomes who you are, that's like when it's like wrong. That's like you've already lost the game. So it's like your whole thing is like, I'm a comedian, or like, yeah, I'm thinking. It's like, no, you've lost.
Yeah.
You've lost the plot.
Absolutely. It's absolutely that. Because it's like, you're spending too much time reveling in the identity versus the action.
Right.
Like, it's easy to say you're a comedian. Also, I think, like, your girlfriend will learn more about this the longer you guys date. And, like, my girlfriend's had to learn how to do it, too, because, like, my girlfriend will not tell people that I'm a comedian. But then, like, when she gets to know them better, it will come up. Because it's like, where's your boyfriend? He's out.
Right.
Because, like, even in that sense, it does become, like, is he just a guy? Is he just like a guy doing open mics like that? Like, it's not really like that here. If you do comedy long enough, people put you on shows because you're their friend. And that happens everywhere. But it's like, is he like a real comedian? And Kendra is like, yeah, no, he actually is like pursuing it. It's not like just like and it is become more of a hobby in a sense with the intentional, because it's like going back to the conversation about BOYtime and what you just said, but like what Chris talked about in his sermon was just like, with BOYtime, it's like it's fun to do because it's fun to do, as opposed to it being like us trying to be guys that have a podcast,
right?
Because you have to have a podcast. It's like, no, we're doing it because it's like funny to me. Like, I've gone back over the past month or so and listened to the old stuff episodes from 2023 that I did, like, and I was listening to one today, and it was like, oh, it's almost like a little bit of like a diary. It's like funny to go back and listen, and it's like, oh, that was funny. Oh, that was funny.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't have recognized in the moment, but it is interesting because it's like we talk about things that are going on. We talk about things that are going on in our lives, changes, stuff that happens, and you kind of can see someone evolve. And it's like the idea of sharing that with people is like, all right, if you want to see like what it was like for me to move to Florida from New York and try to get back into comedy, or see what it was like for Caleb to be a musician whose house exploded and his studio, you know what I mean? It's like, who knows what the future will be like,
right?
But it will be interesting to go back and look, and if other people invest in your career and who you are and like what you have to say, you know, there's an element of confidence to being a creative person. You have to have the idea that, like, no, I have something that people will want to listen to.
Yeah.
And some guys don't. I've heard it described as, like, people put their blood on the page, and sometimes their blood just isn't that good. Yeah. And I don't know enough to say if my blood's good or not. I'm just still working on just putting it on the page. Like, I just want to get it out there. Because, like, tell me if it's good. I'll put it out there. I think we're being throttled, not us specifically, but every creative out there is being throttled by the internet. It's horrible. You cannot connect with people. The only thing they really do is connect with people in a local sense, to where you go and do a Outback Shakehouse thing, or like I do like comedy shows and stuff. But it's like, you know, you meet normal people that have like normal lives and they're doing this because they are passionate about it. It's like, oh, you just want to get better at this and you actually enjoy it. And that's the transition I've had to make, because everyone in New York has like a career intention. Like, I would like to write for SNL. was like, how about you make me laugh at one show? Let's get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's do that first.
And it's not me. It's just like I'm watching you, and I've been watching. I was talking to Aditya about this the other day. It's funny to be 5 years into something and see things that you are able to recognize as like trends. Like, I feel like I know when a guy is going to quit. I can tell when I'm at an open mic, and I've seen this guy for like 6 months, and he's still not getting a laugh. And then the conversation off stage, it's like, this guy has the wrong intention about this. He doesn't know really what he's doing. Right. He's like going to move to Austin, Texas, because he thinks that's going to do something for him. And it's like, I don't blame him, because that's what I did. I moved to New York without the experience enough to do stand-up. Like, the idea used to be that you would go do stand-up in a local scene and then move to the big scene and try your luck while you already have experience. But that's all out the window, because people are on the internet, people have no patience, people have short attention spans, and they move to get good as opposed to being good and moving to capitalize on your talent. Someone like Shane Gillis was the #1 comedian in Philadelphia and moved to New York after he had opportunities and a reason to go. Right. Because he moved to New York, and a year later he got all these accolades and then was cast on SNL, which he lost, and his career is great. You know, it all turned into something better for him. But he was big in the scene, and that's the old way of doing it. Yes. And he was maybe one of the last guys that actually did it that way, because a lot of the people I know start in the big scene. Or they've done it a little bit, and then you pursue it full-heartedly. Like, if I was talking to myself at 21 years old, I'd be like, you're going to move to New York to be a comedian? Why don't you do more comedy now? Right. Also, that being said, there wasn't a huge amount of comedy in any of the places I was living, though. Yeah. So, like, if you don't live in a place that has it, maybe you have to move to a place to do it.
Well, to be fair to yourself, though, I mean, your heart is kind of always been in New York. I mean,
I wanted to go.
Yeah, so I don't think it was... I mean, maybe, you know, obviously you know yourself better than I do, but I never perceived you as like, oh, he's just like, he's going there to try to like make it big. Because maybe you just explained it, or you hid that side of yourself pretty well. But I feel like it was always just like, oh, I just want to live there. Yeah. Because like you lived in New York before. Yeah. Like not the city, right? No. But like the state. And so it's like, oh, like his heart is there. Yeah. And like, yeah.
I'd always wanted to do it, and when I was in college, it became like a thing that I was like, I want to live in New York.
And also it makes sense because you were good at it. Like it's not like one of these guys that's like, I'm 40 years old, I get no laughs, I gotta move to Austin. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, I feel, like you did shows, you like did short films in college, like you had like a lot already, like in your back pocket. To where like, nah, don't beat yourself up too much.
I heard the advice that you have to chase the dream that's chasing you. I think that's good advice for people, because it's not mine. I heard it from, I think it was Pete Holmes on his podcast said it, that you have to chase the dream that's chasing you, because like sometimes it's like, this isn't for you. You see someone at a concert or like an independent show. It's like, if you want to do this because you like it, that's something else. But if you feel called to this, not because you've manipulated and listened to all the podcasts and heard all the stand-up specials and you feel like you want to be one of those guys. It's like, no, you have to, it's being a comedian and enjoying comedy are two different things. Just like enjoying music and being a musician are completely different things. It's just, it's like, it's not two sides of the same coin. It's like two different rooms in a house.
And you just tapped into a little bit when you said, like people watch something and say, I want to be that. That's a huge part of it. And it's like, you see that with Drake all the time. Like, not with Drake, but like people trying to be Drake. Like, he changed the music industry for like forever, and he changed like the way rap sounds. And yeah, it's like all these people are just trying to sound like Drake, be like Drake, dress like Drake, talk like Drake does. It's like, yeah, it's because you just see that and you're like, I want that. Right. But you suck. You suck balls at what you do. It's like, I'd rather have someone be like, my life's like a video game. I think that's why that's compelling to me, because I'm like, she doesn't care. Yeah. She's just like, oh yeah, I just like this. Yeah.
And
it's like, that's
Instagram
cool. Yeah. And it's like, and the music isn't like, I've listened to a few of her songs. I'm like, oh, it's actually not bad. Like, she's on key. The songs are fun. The hooks are really catchy. Like, that hook has been in my mind all day long. My life's like a video game. I'm like, dude, yeah, like that's fun. And that's someone who's probably not like, I saw Britney Spears, I gotta be like her. It's like, no, it's just like, I'm goofy and I really like doing this and I just feel called to it. I remember having a conversation with my brother a few years ago, and I was just like pouring my heart out, and I was like, I can't get away from music. Like, I just love doing it. I just love doing it. And even if it's not seen, like when I was living in my house, there were so many nights where I would just be playing piano for hours. And it's like, it doesn't go anywhere. No one's hearing this, but I just love doing it. And it's like, especially piano, like guitar, cool. But like, yeah, I just love making music and like flirting with different chord progressions, all that kind of stuff. It's just like, that's just so much fun. And so like, if you feel called to that, that's like the most important piece.
You have to be called
trying to
the
put
action.
yourself in a box.
Yes.
Like trying to fit into like a square in your circle. Like, it's not gonna work.
There's a guy on Instagram, and he does YouTube videos too, and he's got a little bit more of a following now. He's not super big, but a lot of comics send him around. And at first, it was making fun of him because he posts clips of him doing stand-up, and he's not good. Mm. But he lives in like St. Louis. He's like this white guy. I think his name's Michael or Matthew, and he'll like post a video, and like the light is so bright on him that he's just like a glowing white figure. Right. And he's on stage and he's just bombing. But like he does like vlogs of every open mic, and he'll do like he'll talk to his camera before he goes in, and then he'll like go in and show you his full set at the open mic, and then afterwards he'll be like, this joke did good today, this joke didn't. And it's like, at first it was making fun of him because it's like funny that he's posting reels where he's bombing. Right. But after a while you're like, oh no, he likes this. He likes going to the open mic, and he likes like sharing that with people too. Like that's a part of it that he found interesting. Yeah. And so I actually ended up admiring a guy that I feel like I was making fun of at first, because it's just like that girl who sings the songs from Instagram, because it's like, oh, it's like he's not, I gotta move here because I have the followers. It's like, he has to know the followers are there because they want to see him like flounder. Right. But the floundering is, he's like showing his humility in it. Yeah. That he's doesn't think he's hot shit. Yeah. If he's on a show, I don't even know if he gets on shows yet, but it's funny to watch him. He'll like do like a little thing, and he'll pray before he goes in. Aww. And he lights a candle, and it's like, he is funny. He is doing it to be funny. Right. But it's like, I like that this guy really is into the idea of doing this more than he is into the idea of being Shane Gillis, Louis C.K., anyone who's a famous comedian right now. He's not trying to be that guy. He's trying to be himself. And that's the same thing with the girl. It's like, that's a guy who's doing something that's like, if you're going to make content, make it about what you're interested in. And if you're doing something fun, it's like, dude, it's humiliating. This guy gets no laughs. No laughs. And like, sometimes he gets laughs, but it's like just like vile jokes about like having sex with kids or rape, and you're like, dude, what? And he's like, they're laughing because it's like, that's what comics do. They laugh if you say the craziest thing that you can say. And it's like, but it is a guy who like, it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, it is Drake, and even Drake isn't Drake.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's Drake. Drake is trying to be Drake.
Right. Everyone's trying to be Drake, and Drake isn't even Drake, including Aubrey Graham. He's trying to be Drake, and he is not Drake.
Yeah, it's the death of God all over again.
What do you mean?
Like God accepted his own death on the cross.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's like, why have you forsaken me? Like it's the moment, like Peter Rollins says, the moment that God became an atheist. So yeah, even Drake's not Drake.
Wow. Six God.
Wait, what did we do before? Like, six God.
I don't remember.
Remember we were like, how many weird ways can we make the number 6?
We sound like a barrel of laughs when we hang out. How many weird ways can we have 6 with our hands? You guys want to know what it's like to hang out with James and Caleb? Just try to make any weird 6s with your hands. That's how the boy.
Be careful not to do the blood sign. That's our one rule.
It's our one rule.
No, you did.
We should figure out how to spell BOYtime with our hands.
You could be close to the blood sign.
Of course.
Do it down here. Yeah, that's close. I'm looking.
Hey, BOYtime. Every time, if you guys come up to me and say you're a fan, I get to punch you.
I get to punch you. James says he's gonna get a tattoo like that right there.
Yeah, my hand.
That'd be a cool tattoo, actually.
Don't get that. Don't.
Too late. I already have
You
it.
have another Suburban Myth tattoo? Just got it. I just love my early stuff.
I'm just really inspired by it.
Yeah. Well, that's BOYtime. That's
oh wow.
We did like an hour 20 there. Ain't that something?
That is something.